having a proven sales process, you're just floating in the wind. Whoo, you just out here just doing whatever I want, whatever I think is okay, whatever I think people want to hear or want to know. And you will constantly find yourself struggling to generate revenue, not be able to go full time, not be able to make that 6 figures you want, not be able to make the impact you want in the world. And not because you can't do it, is because you just don't have a sales process. You don't have a sales strategy to enroll clients on a consistent basis. And look, I come to the front of the congregation and say, that has been me. But I've learned over time specifically what to follow and doing things that are proven that's going to help me transform the lives and make the money I want to make. I started off, I was in many different niches. So a lot of folks don't know what their niche is when they first start. For me, I had an idea. Over the years, it changed because there were certain things that I thought that I wanted to talk about or wanted to help people with, but it kind of changed. So for me, it was a little bit hard to build the branding. If I would have known at first, like, okay, I specifically want to help coaches and people who have a voice or have a message or they have some type of experience I want to help people with, I really could have, my entire 8 years of being in this industry could have specifically been to that, and I would have been catapulted, right? But we all learn and we make things happen. The reason I bring that up is because I would have been able to dial in my messaging a lot sooner. I would have been able to understand the psychology of my audience a lot sooner. I would have been able to really communicate my message a lot tighter. See, the reason a lot of people struggle with sales is for a few reasons. One is because they don't really know who their audience is. How can you sell something to somebody at the highest level if you want to help everybody? I run into so many people that say, well, I just want to help the world with everything because I've been through these 10 things in my life. And because I've been through all of these things, I can help people with all these things. And I want to help people with all these things. So they try to sell people the idea of all these things and then nobody, right? So that has been the challenge. And so because of that waters down your messaging, especially when we talk about pre-selling. So essentially what a pre-selling is that before people actually jump on a phone with you to potentially become clients and learn how you can help them, you got to realize it's not the first time that they've seen you. That's very important. That means that they've likely either watched some training from you before, or they've seen something that hopefully puts you in a position of authority on that specific topic that you coach on or that you want to coach them on. Now, what's interesting is depending on the messaging that you put into the marketplace is going to influence their decision to buy from you when you actually talk to them on a call. And I don't even know if I really even talked about this, and I don't really see people talking about it. Only person I really saw talk about this in a similar fashion is Robert Cialdini, right? And he talks about like persuasion, and that's really key to where you're really persuading people before you actually get on a call with them. And that's really key. That's important because what you say to somebody is going to prime them in the right way to potentially make the sale easier when you're looking to enroll them, or potentially make it harder depending on what they heard or what they seen, or like, I don't really feel like this person is credible, but okay, I guess I'm going to jump on a call with them anyway. Let me just hear what they got to say. That's a different mentality and mindset. Somebody coming on a call, yes, they showed up on a call, but it's a different mindset that they showed up on a call that way versus somebody who showed up on a call. Yes, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to learn from you. I've seen your experience. I've seen the expertise that you have. I know how you can help people. I know the great advice you've been given, or people you've been coaching, or where you've been featured, or what you've done. I am ready. That's two different type of mentalities that somebody have getting on the phone, although both of them are on the phone. Everybody put OMG below. That was a mind blow for me. Put OMG below and give this some likes. That was mind blowing for me because I thought that everybody who showed up on the call was created equal. Everybody who shows up on the call is not created equal. Everybody put Presuede in the comments. Put Presuede, like persuade, put Presuede, because this is really key in terms of like setting up the sale correctly. Does that make sense? That's no different than a basketball player. One person just gets on the floor and start playing basketball, and the other person is stretching ahead of time. Both of them are on the floor playing basketball, but who's gonna have a harder time? Right? The person that didn't stretch, the person that didn't warm up before the game started, before the tip off, right? So it's the same kind of situation. So now we're talking on a call. So these are some of the best practices that I've learned just from doing sales for years and generating multiple six figures in sales. Couple things. One, you have to be very focused on who you're on the call with. Meaning, I see a lot of people who they get on a call with people and they do more talking than the other person. Meaning, there's a lot of coaches out there that's making mistakes and they feel like, well, in order to demonstrate my expertise, I got to talk their head off. I got to tell them all the things that I know, and I got to throw around all this jargon and all of these buzzwords, and I really got to just coach them up and coach them on everything that I know and take them through all of these exercises and meditations. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to do all of that. Actually, that's hurting you more than it's helping you. First of all, you think people don't know that you're trying to prove yourself. You're trying to prove that I can actually help you. People can see right through that today. So if you're doing that, that's a big mistake. You need to stop. You don't have to get on there and prove to them that you know what you're talking about. The reason they got on a call with you is because they felt comfortable that you were the authority on this topic. Everybody put I am the authority. Put that in the chat. I am the authority. This is key. I want you to accept the identity that you are an authority, because that's going to give you more confidence when you're actually having these calls with folks. Does that make sense? And you having these calls what is going to make people, you having these calls with confidence is what's actually going to give people the confidence to say, I want to rock with you. But that's just one element of it, right? So realize that you don't have to exude this overconfidence. So that's the first thing, is really just understand that you have it. It's a mentality. Come on a call with confidence. Also want you to make sure that you ask questions. I talked about not speaking as much. Like, let them do a majority of the speaking. Everybody put 80-20. Put 80-20 in the chat. 80/20. So I really want them speaking a majority of the time. And the reason is, a lot of times people don't get a chance to really express themselves. Especially, you think about your clients, like all of the time people are just telling them all these things and you should do this, you should do that, but they don't really have a chance to really explain. So when they get on a call with somebody who actually listens to them and really ask insightful questions, one, that's going to paint you as the authority. Just the fact that you're asking very insightful questions. You know what I'm saying? Majority of people are just trying to verbally diarrhea on them, right? And just talk their head off, just trying to seem smarter than they, trying to be super smart and share with them what they know. You can actually take the reverse effect and have a way more powerful outcome with them on these calls, because you're actually listening to them and you're asking very thoughtful and insightful questions. And that in itself is exuding an authority, a level of authority that you have on a call. Does that make sense? So this is very key. Like, these are things that literally has made me like so much revenue when it came to me actually having these calls. Does that make sense? And by the way, if questions are coming to your mind as you're doing this, write down these questions, because we're going to get to the questions at the end, right? Especially if you just joined us. Write these questions down. These are key. All right. So that was something else that really helped. Another thing is, make sure that you're asking qualifying questions and asking what we call Socratic questions. So there's something that's called Socratic questioning. Essentially what that means is that you're asking deeper level questions. You're asking very insightful questions. But I don't just want you asking any questions. I want these questions to be very specific around the niche that you're really helping, that you're looking to help people with. And when I say niche, that can literally be whether it's a topic or whether it's around, or whether it's like a demographic, right? It could be really either or, a role or whatever the case is. But I want you asking specific questions to understand their situation more. And not only just understand it, but in a way that makes you say, can I truly help this person? Remember, every person that you speak to is not necessarily a perfect fit for your program. It's not a great fit for your program. So you really have to do what's best in the interest of that person that you're speaking to. And sometimes it's hard because you might just, I remember when I really first started having calls. First of all, I was scared to jump on calls with people. I'm like, oh, I might be calling, I might be talking to them. They might be having dinner with their family, or, or maybe they don't want to speak to me. So first, you got to realize that people do want to speak with you, and that's the reason why they booked the appointment with you in the first place. Is because they want to speak with you. So have that confidence. But once I eventually got the confidence up, and now I'm having these calls, part of the challenge that I was facing is I wasn't really asking insightful enough questions. So I didn't ask proper questions that allowed me to understand them better, and I didn't ask them questions that allowed me to make a decision whether I can truly help them or not. Because you could literally get to the end of the call and realize, like, oh, based on what this person really wanted, I can't really help them, or I can help them, but it's probably not the best fit for them to make that investment in me, right? And just to learn this thing, like I had somebody one time who they were asking me about, like, yo, I want to start up this podcast and I want to train people on this, that, and the third. And I'm like, yo, that's dope. And I think the podcast would be dope. And they were like gun-ho over starting this podcast. And I'm like, look, be real. I started a podcast one time. I did not finish. I think I quit. And probably like on episode like 7 or something like that, 8. Right? I quit like some episodes in, because I couldn't be consistent with it. And I said, look, I can give you some good ideas, but I said, I'm not the right person for this. I said, now you want to, as a result of the people that listen to the podcast, you want to start a coaching business, I'm your boy. Like, I got you. You know what I mean? I can show you how to do that all day long, make 6 figures, boom, make the impact I can show you how to do that all day long. But I said, if you want to know the ins and outs of like the podcast game, I mean, I sent them to my boy David Sheens, right? So it's things like that where you have to really be listening to somebody and ask great questions in order to help them